The rain tapped softly against the library windows in Washington, D.C., casting a gray tint over the quiet reading room. Former President Donald Trump, now living a quieter life post-presidency, had recently taken a liking to the Library of Congress. Few knew about these visits. It wasn't for the cameras. It was for peace. Today he walked past shelves filled with American history, war memoirs, and dusty novels. He paused in the World War II section, reaching for a worn-out book titled The Letters They Wrote. It was a collection of personal letters exchanged between soldiers and their loved ones during the war. Raw, emotional, and timeless. He sat down by the window, flipping the pages gently. He didn't expect to feel much. He had read countless military letters before. But just as he turned to page 178, something slipped out. It was a folded piece of parchment, yellowed by age, its edges frayed. Not a printed page, not part of the book. It had been hidden inside for who knows how long. Curious, he opened it. The handwriting was elegant, written in black ink. It started simply, "To the man who someday reads this. If you're holding this, it means fate placed you in the right hands." Trump's eyes narrowed. This wasn't a random letter. It felt intentional. There was no date at the top, just the signature at the bottom. He blinked. The signature read, D. Roosevelt. Trump stared at the signature again. Franklin D. Roosevelt. He turned the letter over. No date, no official stamp. Yet the ink, the penmanship, it felt authentic. This wasn't just a scribble. It was intentional. The next line struck deeper. History remembers policies, but people remember kindness. If you're in a position of power, be human first. Trump leaned back, the weight of those words settling in. He looked around. No one else seemed to notice the moment unfolding. Carefully, he refolded the letter, feeling its age in his hands. Could this really be from FDR? Why was it hidden in a book in the Library of Congress? And why had he of all people found it? For the first time in weeks, something stirred inside him. Curiosity mixed with a strange sense of destiny. He took the book and the letter to the front desk. "Is there any record of who donated this book?" he asked the librarian. She adjusted her glasses. "That's from a private military collection donated anonymously last year. No tracking details." "Why?" He hesitated. "It's fascinating. I think I found something important." She smiled. "That section holds many secrets, Mr. Trump. That's why readers like you keep coming back." As he walked out, the rain had stopped. But inside him, a storm was brewing. He had to know more. Who was this letter really for? Why had FDR written it? And more importantly, what did he mean by fate placed you in the right hands? That evening, Trump couldn't shake the feeling. He called in his former historical advisor, Evelyn Marks, a brilliant archivist in her early 40s, quiet but razor-sharp. She arrived with a leather notebook and cautious curiosity. "You said you found a Roosevelt letter hidden in a World War II book?" she asked. Trump nodded and handed her the parchment. Evelyn's eyes widened. "The handwriting. This looks genuine. But why would Roosevelt write something like this without a date or recipient?" She examined the ink under a magnifier. No forgery signs. This was written with a Parker Vacuumatic, Roosevelt's favorite pen. She looked up, confused but intrigued. This isn't just a letter. It's almost like a message in a bottle meant for someone. But who? Trump leaned forward. "What if I'm that someone?" Evelyn gave a half smile. "You believe in fate now?" "I don't know, but this feels personal," he replied. "I've made decisions, big ones, and I've been wondering lately, did I do enough for the people?" Evelyn softened. "Maybe that's why this found you. Let's see what else we can uncover." She took the book and began flipping through the margins, looking for annotations. Midway through, she found initials in pencil. JRS. "Do those initials mean anything to you?" she asked. Trump shook his head, but Evelyn had a hunch. They might not be Roosevelt's. They could belong to someone who received the letter, or someone he wrote about. And just like that, the investigation deepened. Evelyn spent the next 2 days combing through military archives, focusing on initials JRS. Finally, a hit. James Robert Sullivan, Private First Class, 101st Airborne Division, presumed Kia during the Battle of Bastogne. But there was more. Private Sullivan had once written to the White House in 1944. Roosevelt, known for responding personally to letters from soldiers, had replied. "That might be our link," Evelyn told Trump. They found a scanned copy of Roosevelt's reply, formal, warm, typed. But the letter in the library book, it was handwritten. Could FDR have sent him a second private message? Trump asked. "Possibly," Evelyn replied. Or maybe he never got to send it at all. They dug into Sullivan's personal effects donated decades ago by his sister. Among them, a journal. Inside the journal's cover was the same quote from the mysterious letter. Be human first. Trump's voice caught. So Sullivan was likely the intended recipient. But then, how did the letter end up hidden in that book? Evelyn nodded slowly. Maybe someone tried to preserve it. Trump stared at the letter again. Something had shifted inside him since reading it. He saw the world differently now. Not as a leader of a nation, but as a man among people who had sacrificed far more than he ever had. If this letter was meant to reach someone, he whispered, maybe it still can. Trump returned to the Library of Congress alone. He met again with the librarian, Ms. Downey, who remembered him instantly. You're back, she said, smiling. Couldn't let the mystery go? He nodded. That letter, it might have belonged to a soldier named James Robert Sullivan. Her expression changed. That name, that's familiar. She pulled up a digital log. Yes, we had a woman visit last year. She brought in a small trunk of World War II memorabilia, including the book you found. Her name was Clara Holden. Any relation to Sullivan? She said Sullivan was her uncle. Trump leaned forward. Can you help me find her? Ms. Downey hesitated. I'm not supposed to give out donor info. Trump nodded, understanding. He reached into his coat pocket and handed her a folded copy of the letter. Then give her this, he said gently. She needs to see it. I think it's been waiting for her. Miss Downey's eyes welled up as she took the paper. I'll find her. As Trump left, he glanced at the shelves once more. So many stories buried in dust. Letters never delivered. Words never heard, but maybe, just maybe, one was about to find its way home. 2 days later, Trump received a phone call. It was Evelyn. You need to hear this, she said, placing her phone on speaker. A soft voice followed. Mr. Trump, this is Clara Holden. The librarian passed along the letter you found. I recognized the handwriting instantly. Trump leaned in. My mother showed me letters Roosevelt wrote to my uncle, James Sullivan. But this one, I'd never seen it. I think it was meant to comfort him before his final mission. But he never made it back. Trump said nothing, letting her continue. My grandmother told us that Roosevelt had sent a private note, but no one ever found it. I guess it stayed hidden in that book all these years. Clara paused. I don't know how you found it, but thank you. You brought something back to life. Something we thought was lost forever. Trump swallowed hard. He was a hero. I'm just glad it reached someone who remembers him. Clara added. I think Roosevelt's message was meant not just for my uncle, but for anyone who'd listen. You read it. You understood it. That matters. After the call ended, Trump sat in silence. For once, he didn't feel like a public figure. He felt human like Roosevelt had hoped. Clara invited Trump and Evelyn to her home in rural Pennsylvania, a cozy 2-story farmhouse with creaking floorboards and walls full of memories. She led them to the attic where she kept her uncle's belongings. There were medals, faded photographs, and more letters, both sent and unsent. One dated December 23, 1944 caught Evelyn's eye. It was addressed to FDR in Sullivan's hand. Thank you for your words. If I don't make it back, I hope someone else reads your letter. It reminded me why we fight, not for politics, but for people. Trump sat on an old trunk, overwhelmed. He never got to mail this. Clara nodded. He died 2 days later. They read more of Sullivan's journal. Every page reflected gratitude, humor, and unwavering loyalty to his fellow soldiers. But there was something else, a quiet sorrow, a longing to be remembered. Trump closed the journal. We talk about heroes, but we don't always know their hearts. Evelyn added, history gives us facts, but letters, they give us souls. Clara smiled. My uncle believed words could outlive war. Maybe now they finally have. Back in D.C., Evelyn started digging deeper into Roosevelt's personal writings. She visited Hyde Park and met with the archivists at the Roosevelt Presidential Library. They confirmed something intriguing. Roosevelt had a habit of handwriting unsent letters, deep reflective notes not meant for official records. Many of them were sealed in a collection labeled Reflections, stored privately by Roosevelt's close aide, Margaret Leand. Among them, Evelyn found another letter. This one ended with, if one man in power reads these someday and chooses empathy over ego, then I've succeeded beyond politics. Evelyn brought it to Trump, who sat quietly rereading it. It's like he saw the future, Trump murmured. And maybe he worried it would repeat. Roosevelt, once confined to a wheelchair, yet carrying a nation through war, knew that words could shape hearts long after he was gone. Trump sat back. He didn't write history. He whispered into it. That night, Trump couldn't sleep. He opened Sullivan's journal again and found the final entry. Someday, someone will pick up the pieces of our stories. I hope they do more than read them. I hope they feel them. Trump did. The next morning, Trump called Evelyn and Clara to Mar-a-Lago. I've decided something, he said. We're not letting this story stay in the shadows. He proposed an idea, a national campaign to uncover lost letters and journals from veterans and their families called the Silent Voices Project. He would fund it privately with historians, archivists, and volunteers scanning, preserving, and sharing these letters with schools and museums across the country. People remember speeches, Trump said, but they're moved by stories. Clara nodded through tears. My uncle would have wanted this. Evelyn smiled. It's history by the people. For the people. Trump knew this wasn't about politics. It was about legacy, the kind that outlasts presidencies. 6 months later, the first Silent Voices exhibit opened in Philadelphia. Thousands of letters, journals, and photos lined the walls. Children listened to veterans read aloud. Teachers cried over letters from teenage soldiers. At the center of it all was Roosevelt's letter and Sullivan's journal displayed together under soft light. Visitors stood in silence before them. A plaque read, Be Human First. FDR, rediscovered by Donald J. Trump, 2025. Reporters asked Trump how it felt to be remembered for this. He paused. If you remember me for a letter I didn't write but understood. That's enough. Clara quietly handed Trump a sealed envelope one morning. I found this in the bottom of the trunk. She said it's addressed to the future president. Trump raised a brow. That can't be real. She smiled. Open it. Inside was Sullivan's final note. Never mailed. To whoever leads this country someday, don't just be powerful, be kind. And don't forget the names that never made it home. I trust you'll carry us with you. J.R. Sullivan. Trump held the letter like it was gold. This wasn't a message from the past. It was a mission for the future. Not everyone welcomed the project with open arms. Critics claimed Trump was rebranding himself using nostalgia. Others doubted the authenticity of the letters, but Evelyn stepped forward at a press conference. These letters were written by real people, verified, preserved, and confirmed. This isn't about one man's image. It's about thousands of forgotten souls. Clara added, I don't care what you think about Trump. This project gave my family back our story. That's real. Public support grew, and soon veterans across the country started sending in letters. Some yellowed, some scribbled, all heartfelt. One day, a letter arrived from a 19-year-old soldier named Raphael serving overseas. It read, Mr. Trump, I read Sullivan's letter online. It made me cry. I didn't know leaders used to talk like that. Thank you for showing us those voices. It made me proud to wear this uniform. Trump read it aloud during a national interview. He looked into the camera and simply said, History is still being written. And sometimes the best way to lead is to listen to those who never had a mic. At the next museum opening in Texas, a 10-year-old boy approached Trump with a binder full of letters written by his great-grandfather. I never met him, the boy said, but I wanted to help other kids hear his words. Trump knelt down. You just made him proud, kid. That moment went viral. It wasn't about a politician. It was about a child honoring a legacy. Other countries took notice. France, Canada, and the UK reached out to collaborate on their own Silent Voices projects. The world wasn't watching Trump, the president. They were watching Trump, the messenger of memory. Evelyn discovered one final surprise. Missing pages in Sullivan's journal, torn out before his last mission. Clara remembered something. He once told my grandmother, If I don't come home, the pages don't matter. My story will be in their hearts. Maybe some stories don't need to be read. Just felt. In a rare speech, Trump stood before the Lincoln Memorial, not for a rally, but for remembrance. I once found a letter hidden in a book. I thought I was reading history. But in truth, history was reading me. The crowd fell silent. Trump had Roosevelt's signature from the original letter. Were framed not in his office, but in the entrance of the Silent Voices headquarters. Beneath it was Sullivan's journal. 2 names, 2 generations, 1 legacy. Veterans began to feel seen. Families found lost letters. Students learned not from textbooks, but from souls. It wasn't about red or blue. It was about human first. Late one night, Trump opened his journal, the one he never let anyone read. He wrote, FDR once wrote to a soldier, but I think he was writing to me. I didn't change the world, but maybe I helped others remember the ones who did. He closed it, smiled, and whispered to himself, "Be human.